Okay, we're live. I want to come on here, people, and just bring some information. You guys know my channel is about Black economic empowerment. I've had a few videos. Whenever I meet people that are on the up and up, I like to try to share information, pass it on from, expedited freight, internet businesses, marketing, anything, man. You know what I'm saying? So this is no different. Some years back, I met a guy who was driving in a Bentley, a convertible Bentley when it first came out. The Bentley GT, I think that's what it was. He bought it brand new. Black guy from Montgomery, and I met him. We talked at the bookstore. He was in the bookstore in the middle of the day, and he told me, he was like, "Yeah, man, I do government contracting," and so I've ever since then I took an interest in it. But when I got into it, I saw it wasn't easy. And that's what deters a lot of people is contracts are not easy. It's the government. So a lot of this stuff is out of order. There's no structure to it. So right now, what we've done today is we got somebody that's understands the game backwards and forwards. And I've watched them from afar. I've worked with her significant other, and I met him, and he was a cool dude. And me and him used to go to lunch. He would tell me, yeah, my girlfriend, she's doing government contracting, because in this industry you have to know about contracting. So he told me. From there, I remembered that, and I always kept it in the back of my mind. Like if I ever wanted to get into it, I would probably hit him up and just see if I can get in contact with her, which is what I've done. And she came and spoke to my class last night, and it was a masterful interview. She has a very great understanding and command of just how it works, what the steps you have to take. And she has people that have done things from $80,000 contracts on up to $110, $120 million contracts. So she knows the business in and out. I reached out to Manor tomorrow. Hopefully he'll be able to join us, but if not, cool. But I just want to reintroduce. Some of you guys may have heard of her, but if not, I'm going to introduce ARC Consulting. She goes by the name of Amy Reese, Black-owned business right here in Atlanta. Say what's up to the people.
Hey, what's up? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I guess we want to go ahead and dive right in. I guess the first thing I want to ask you is, when I say government contracting, what is that? What's meant by that? What is government contracting?
Okay, great question. So first of all, let me preface by saying that everything I'm going to share today has to do with the federal government. So a lot of times people mention that, they use the word government, and of course there's state government, there's city government, and county government. So we're talking about government at the highest level. And so I want to throw out some stats and some information first so people can really understand what the opportunities are in this particular space and how few small businesses actually participate. So as an example, for 2018, the federal budget was $1.1 trillion, meaning that the federal government had in its budget to spend $1.1 trillion. And so there is a law that was passed back in 2011 that basically says that the government was going to attempt to level the playing field for small businesses, because major corporations were getting filthy rich off of doing work for the federal government. And so back in 2011, they passed a law that pretty much says that 23% of the federal government's annual spend on goods and services must go to small businesses. And so essentially what that means, if you take the federal budget for 2018, $1.1 trillion, and you take 23% of that, that is about $255 billion that is supposed to be set aside for small businesses. That means that everything that the government purchases, and FYI, the federal government is literally the world's largest purchaser of goods and services. There is no entity on the face of this earth that purchases more than our federal government. All of the corporations combined can't compete with the purchasing power of the federal government. And on top of that, the federal government produces no product. They purchase every product they buy, from paper clips to paper to every service that needs to be done, whether it's landscaping or janitorial, or whether it's teaching workshops, whatever it is, the federal government purchases it. And there are literally several hundred agencies of the federal government, also several agencies, several hundred initiatives that the federal government has. And so essentially what that means is that you've got approximately $254 billion in revenue that should be coming to small businesses, but less than 1% of the small businesses in the United States even compete for these opportunities. And so that's staggering, which, so that tells you that not enough small businesses either know about the opportunities, or those that do know about the opportunities, like Sub, for example, you mentioned that you knew about it a while, and you shared with me that, it was confusing and that you thought it was too much, it's arduous, and it is all of those things. But that's one of the things that ARC Business Solutions, that's one of the things that we do, is we help small businesses navigate those waters. We help them to, first of all, understand whether there's opportunity in the space for them. And then if there are any certifications, which are set aside opportunities. So I'll go into that a little bit. There are certain certifications. If you are in a particular population, such as if you are a woman, if you are a veteran, if you are in a particular area if your business operates out of a particular area of town called an underutilized zone. And there are a couple of others that you can get that will allow you additional set-aside opportunities. But even if you don't fall into one of those categories, still less than 1% of the federal government, still less than 1% of small businesses participate. So basically what's happening, if that less than 1% of businesses that participate, they are limiting their competition by 99%, because their competition is not in the marketplace competing. And so for those business owners that's out there, struggling to pick up what I call onesie twosies out in the general marketplace, one of the things that we want to do as a company is to help those small businesses. We want to shatter that 1%. That's our slogan. That's one of the things that we're working really hard to break, that 1%, because we know that it's a game changer. It's literally can be life changing. Winning these contracts, you're in a totally different ball game. And competing for what I call, like I said, the onesie twosies, when you can go after bulk opportunities in the hundreds of thousands and even millions, is something that I think that most small businesses should go after if their product or services is needed. And I can tell you now, 9 times out of 10, what you're offering, probably is used by the federal government in some way. So that is, pretty much the high level overview of what we do. Bill, if you have any questions or anything, whatever I can do in order to either answer questions, help you guys realize what the opportunities are, get you certified, whatever it is, that's the goal of ARC Business Solutions, is to help literally, like I said, level the playing field and shatter that 1%, because we want more people to participate in this awesome opportunity.
Okay, so what is the viability of, say I'm starting a business now. Say I go tomorrow, I go to incorporate.com, I pay my money, I start my LLC, C corporation, whatnot, right? Mm-hmm. I come to you, I got my EIN number, I got my bank account set up, I got everything set up. And what is the viability of me in, say, however long time frame, being able to be awarded a contract? And if so, what would that contract, what amount could that possibly be?
Okay, so let me say this. The contract amount, it varies. I mean, the federal government, they have no bid, what's called no bid contracts, meaning that literally you don't have to bid. They just go out and they're searching for products and services. There's some procurement manager or there's some department head that needs a product or service. For example, an HR manager wants to do some time management training for 150 of his or her employees, and their spending power without having to put it out for bid is up to $150,000. So they just go out there and they find someone who can deliver on time management workshops and seminars, and they swipe their P card or their purchasing card, and they secure that contract. Okay, so you've got that, which is the less complicated kind of scenario, the no bid scenario, all the way up to literally tens of millions of dollars in opportunities. Now, your question, Sub, is that how viable is it, or how quickly, I guess, right? Can someone expect to actually start winning these opportunities? I want to tell you that number one, it takes work. So this is not, I tell people as I share this information, this is not a pie in the sky or, a pot at the end of the rainbow without you doing the work, or lottery, right? So it's not just you using our services to get you certified and set up in the system, and, you look for your first contract, then ding, 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 you automatically win in 30 days. There is some preparation that's got to take place first. But I will tell you that reasonably, with the taking the proper steps and doing the work that we guide you through, you can literally, within a matter of, depending on how large the contract is, anywhere from, from 6 months to 12 months, start winning contracting opportunities. And from there, it varies, depending on how often you bid, depending on how large that contract is. There are some contracts that they post, and literally within 30 days, they've already awarded the contract. And then there are others that's posted that's more robust, that's larger and more detailed and more work, that literally can be a 1 to 2 year, they call it pre-solicitation first. So you go through pre-solicitation. There's some steps in there that could take months before the actual contract is awarded. Those contracts are usually in the tens of millions. So when we're talking about federal contracting dollars, we've gotta think, really large. And so for some people, large could be a $1 million contract to them, and it is, but not to the federal government. A $1 million contract could be awarded within 30 days. But how quickly can you be ready? It really is going to be up to that business owner. How quickly they get started. Our step, we provide the foundational information. We kind of set up the foundation for you, and then we give you steps and things that you need to do to make sure that you're prepared. And then there are some additional resources that we provide for you by way of our partner, that will allow you to continue to learn, for example, how to price out your bid, what the terminology means, so that when you open up an RFP or a request for proposal, you know what you're reading, because we're talking about the federal government here. So we know how the federal government can complicate things. So you've got to educate yourself, and we provide those tools for you, so you're not left alone. But so it's not a pie in the sky, but if you do the work, yes, it's something that's very doable. And I just to, be on the safe side, I always tell my clients, reasonably within 1 year of you doing what you're supposed to do, and you can start submitting bids, as soon as a couple of months after you are ready. Really, it's a readiness thing. So a lot of it will fall on you, the business owner. But if you are ready, then you can start submitting those bids right away. And it's a matter of less than 1% competing. So we know what those odds look like.
Okay, so I'm getting 1,000 questions. People asking about stuff that's completely different. Thanks, Man of Tomorrow. He's in the chat. He said he wants to learn, so he's just gonna listen.
Okay.
But somebody was asking about SBA loans, and Man of Tomorrow took care of that. As far as opportunity zones, I don't think this really is in that purview, is it? Although you can do business in an opportunity zone, but quite frankly, I think this is about just procuring contracts from the government, and she does have another branch of her business where she's procuring contracts from corporate entities. Am I right?
That is correct. And sometimes it's hand, because you do know that major corporations win federal contracts. I mean, major corporations they are the ones nabbing the federal contracts in the hundreds of millions. They have full departments that's devoted to that's all they do is go after government contracting, proposals, writing proposals, bidding. They have full departments devoted to that. That's how lucrative it is. While the small business owner just kind of sits on the sideline and lets the major corporation run circles around, because we don't have the resources and the manpower a lot of times to navigate that stuff. So yeah, but we do offer both sides of the house. We work with two different marketplaces, and in some cases, many cases, the marketplaces collide, because you can be a subcontractor where, say, for example, Lockheed Martin or some other major corporation has won a federal contract, and then they subcontract your services or your goods out to do part of the work. And so those scenarios happen all the time too.
Okay, so people asking, okay, what areas of business do you see the most contract?
That's a really good question. I would say anything infrastructure, whether it's IT infrastructure, whether it's physical infrastructure, such as general contracting, road work. I have a client who does striping on the road. She's won a contract up in Pennsylvania. Her company literally, the stripes going down the road, the lines, that's what she does. That's her company. And she won a contract in Pennsylvania. I mean, so if you can imagine just how broad that is. I mean, I know people who deliver workshops and seminars. I know people who do landscaping and janitorial, drywall, fencing, you name it. It's really almost unlimited. There are very few industries, of course, marketing and multimedia. It's just about anything. You'd have to throw it out there to me, and I can tell you whether it's something that's usually used.
Okay, so, and thanks, John, for telling me to hit the like button. Once again, for those of you that just got into the interview, I am interviewing Amy Reese from ARC Consulting. She's basically had people get rewarded hundreds of millions of dollars in IT, just contracts, period, not just IT. Also, she's kind of been doing this for about, I would say, probably longer than the last, I think she's been full-time about 3-4 years. This is all she does. She's no Milli Vanilli. Y'all know that's my favorite. You remember the Milli Vanilli used to lip sync? It was fake. Y'all, if you're old enough, you remember.
I do.
So she's not a Milli Vanilli. She legit. She real. She in the game. I know her significant other, good brother. You know what I'm saying? He gave me a job when I was unemployed one time. He looked out for me. But I'm going to say this, man. I want you guys to really, if you're going to go into this space, you're going to need somebody that understands the business, understands the game, and knows what to do. I've actually looked at this, and I didn't tell you this last night, but a couple of years ago, well, actually, back when I was flipping houses, I had a friend of mine that submitted to do the military entrance thing when the day before people leave for the MEPS, they get a hotel and food, and they get a minivan and drive them to the military base before they leave. Well, we bidded a contract, and my boy got greedy. And I think we would have got the contract if we'd have bidded like around 900,000 because we was doing it for 2 years. He bidded 1.5 million. It cost us about 500,000 to do it. I was like, man, let's just get a quick $500,000 out of it. Learn the ropes, then come back. Well, we didn't get the contract, but that was the opportunity right there. You see what I'm saying? And I've always kind of been aware of these. I know people because where I'm from, Montgomery, Alabama, is actually the Armed Forces military IT tech hub. So, I mean, Gunner Air Force Base brings the military from Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, all of them are based right there. So it's a lot of opportunity in this field, and not just in IT, but if you mop floors, if you cut grass, anything dealing with government, cleaning windows, toilet paper, anything, food, anything, any business that government build, you go to any government building, whatever they may need, like, from, I don't know, renting them DVD players, even though a lot of people in government, they may still have needs for those. So somebody might say, who sells them? Do they buy them? Who do they buy them from? Can you buy them from China? What's up, Anderson, Alabama? If you buy them from China and you take them and put them and get them cheap and try to sell them to the United States, you might just be the middleman. How about in Afghanistan? There's a lot of stuff they need over there. There's a lot of things that people need in government. That's just federal. She said she doesn't really deal with the state and local, but what I want you to, I guess what I want you to do now, if you don't mind, is talk about the money, because that's what 90% of the times when you're talking to black folks, you got to tell them, look, man, this is how much money I done seen people make. Tell them about the range. Tell them about the one successful person that you knew that went from 0 to 60 in like 12 months. Just go into the money if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, so one to me, and I'm a mom. I'm a single mom, although my son is a grown man now. But one of my clients that I just really admire is a single mom. She has two daughters, under 13 years of age. And I met her because we were working on a contracted incubator project, and she was one of the successes that I featured with this particular class that I was doing in partnership with another organization. And one day after our meeting, she was sharing with me how her life had changed. And basically, what she told me is that a year before, it was just herself and her assistant, and she was just doing okay as a business owner, working really hard. And fast forward 1 year later, she had 27 employees and had won over $11 million in contracts with the CDC. And what she told me, though, because it was at that point that I looked at her like, wow, and how did you do that? What did you do especially I was talking to her just mom to mom. I know what it's like having small children, and especially preteen. And basically what she told me is she worked really, really hard, that she didn't sleep many days, because she was spending her main hours working her business, doing what she did as a business owner. We know how that can go almost 24 hours if you let it. But she had to carve out time in order to learn the space and the things that she would need to do in order to win. But she took the time to do that, and it paid off for her. So in a period of a year, she went from herself and her assistant to 27 employees and $11 million contract with the CDC. And as a single mom, by the way, young woman, young black woman in her 30s, mid 30s. And so I love to tell her story because it just tells you it is doable. But that girl is a hard worker, right? I mean, she is one of those people that does whatever she needs to do in order to be successful. And so that's my best example in terms of the rapid growth. And then of course I have others. I have clients that I've worked with, that I've been closely still connected to, that have contracts with NASA and Walmart, and I've everything from $80,000 contract won within 90 days to like I said, $11 million and more, actually. So I don't talk a lot about the wins, and I know I should, because people want to hear that. I talk more about the preparation, because I think as a community, especially small business owners, I work with a lot of small business owners, and I will tell you right now, we've got work to do as it relates to how we show up and how we represent, as it relates to our counterparts. And so, I talk about the preparation part, because if you prepare and you represent well and you do the work, it's going to come anyway. You can't help but to come, because the competition is so little. But those are just some examples, so anywhere from, like I said, $80,000, no bid contract secured in 90 days to upwards of, couple, 11 million or more, and beyond, to be honest with you.
So the largest that your clients have gotten is what?
The 11 million is the largest. I mean, and the reason why I don't cite the NASA and some of the others is because I started working with some of these people after they had secured some opportunities. I had some people, and I don't like to claim that, because that really wasn't under my tutelage. So I would probably say, like I said, the $11 million is probably the biggest success story that I've seen, and much more under that, in terms of revenue. 2.5 million, several that are in the couple hundred thousands, subcontracting opportunities. um so for me, it's just a matter of helping people be able to secure opportunities where they're not scratching for the win, because you're really going to work just as hard for the, what I call onesie twosies, as you do for those bulk opportunities by competing in the federal or corporate marketplace.
Okay, so they really want to get into the money. So they asking what's the average of your clients if they do what you tell them.
Oh gosh. So, I mean, first of all, it really depends. If you're talking about my own clients, I would say on average, we're falling at about 5 million on average. But that is going to depend on, what products and services you offer and whether you are prime or not. And so prime wins are much larger because you are the lead on that contract. And so you are many times subcontracting out portions of the job or what have you. A lot of the people that we work with, they come in and they begin to grow their capabilities and their performance by subcontracting first, and building up their quote unquote resume. We call it a capability statement in the business world. Same thing as kind of a resume for those who are out there looking for a job. You should submit your resume. In the business world, if you're submitting for a proposal, you submit your capability statement. And so coming in as a subcontractor is really where we push a lot of our clients, because many of our clients have never done this before. And they have to build up their past performance. They've got to build up their capabilities before they actually become a prime to really start winning those, tens of millions of dollars in opportunities.
Okay, so I mean, I like it. It sounds fantastic to me. It doesn't seem like, I mean, I got a corporation that's been around for about, I had this LLC about 3 years now, and I, I went ahead and signed up today. So I ain't playing, right?
Mhm.
So I'm trying to go ahead and jump on this thing because I see it as a great opportunity. I got IT experience, so it's only right for me to just funnel my experience right directly. Even if I get a small contract for $300,000,
Mhm.
I can go hire somebody to sub out. Even though I'm a database developer, let's say I get a Salesforce um, contract for the government or something crazy like that. What I'll do is go hire that contract out, right?
Mhm.
So, and that's the thing, like you hire recruiting firms and they get an hourly rate. And if you say, okay, 300,000 is going to be 1 year, I need two guys to come in and do this job. So in 1 year, you give them a 12-month contract and you say, okay, I need you guys to knock this out. And, I'll pay you, I don't know what you say. You might say something like $50 an hour. Two people, 2,000 hours, $2,000 a week. You're looking at about 4,000. That means you'll walk away about 100,000 off the project after 12 months.
Mhm.
That's how I look at it. That's just on a subcontract deal. But if you mess
Right.
around and you get a prime and you get a $5-6 million deal, and you talking about, I've seen how much you can really skim the numbers when you getting up with them big numbers. Just because we submitted for that contract one time, and I saw where it was like it was only costing us like $400,000 or $500,000, and we was out there asking for like almost a million, a little bit over. You can do that. In IT, for example, I know you can get Indians and people from different. You need a Dun and Bradstreet. Um, you do need that. She'll actually get all that for you. Actually, she does a lot of that. I guess right now, I want you to kind of get into walk me through. Okay, I signed up. What would you do, and what is the most you can do? What are your all-out capabilities short of just giving me the contract, of course? What are your capabilities? And talk about your partners if you want to go into that as well.
Okay. So I want to understand this. Know if someone is just, if a business owner is first hearing about this opportunity, you want to know what does it look like the next step. So someone who has never done anything, within this space before, what does the process look like? Is that, you want me to go into that? I just want to make sure I understand your question.
Yeah, like, well, okay, so I come to you, I sign up, and by the way, I some of this stuff I put down, man. And not that it doesn't work, I just can't do everything, guys. Y'all saying, man, Sub-Zero doing 30 businesses. No, I'm doing real estate and I'm teaching my class. But the car thing, I'm trying to do that, but I'm gonna have to kind of get on that later because right now I can't do everything. But okay, now back to what we're talking about. What I'm saying is, if I come to you and I try to sign up, what can you do? What are your capabilities?
Perfect.
And then once you go up to that, to explain to me what your partner company can do and what are their capabilities.
Yep, I got it. So, okay, so a business that comes to me and they learned about what we offer, they say we're ready. What we do first is, again, we do the foundational stuff first. So there is an intake process. And so there are a couple of things, if you are a business, that you absolutely must have, and we can't work with you. Your business has to be registered in the state that you're in a state. It doesn't matter, somewhere in the United States. So we work with businesses literally from New Mexico to New York. So it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be in Georgia, anywhere. But it's got to be registered with the state. It's got to be active. And then you need an EIN number, right? You got to have those two things as a very, as a beginning point. There is more that you may have to need if there are any certifications that you want to go for. But let's just say you want us to get you set up in the federal system so that you're able to bid, and you want to, attend our workshop and follow the process. So there's an intake form that you complete. We receive that intake form information. And what we do is we do workshops. And for this particular audience, I want to talk about the workshops because it's really, really important that we understand like the fundamentals first. And so our workshops are usually, well, not usually, always 4 hours long, typically from 10 until 2 p.m. We hold them once or twice a month. And what we teach is we teach you first how to uncover your industry codes. That's really, really important in the federal space because they do not go by the product or service, like naming the product or service. They go by codes. So we teach you about that, and in the workshop we help you uncover all the industry codes that could relate to everything that your business does, even those things that you haven't even thought about. So we go through that exercise. If you don't, I'm going to back up. If you don't have a Dun & Bradstreet number before the workshop or shortly after the workshop, we get that assigned for you within 3 days. And back to the workshop. So your industry codes, most small businesses have never heard of a capability statement. What is a capability statement? Well, I just kind of told you that if you were out there as an individual looking for a job, you wouldn't show up without a resume. It's the same thing, but it's a little different when it comes to a business. But essentially, it's like your business's resume. Most small businesses never heard of it. So we walk you through what that looks like, provide you with the template so that you can make sure that you have your capability statement. Help you write your capabilities narrative in the workshop. At the end of the workshop, of course, we cover a whole lot of other things that you need to do in terms of preparing, again, your foundation first to make sure that you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, and making sure that you represent your organization well. And at the end of the workshop, we actually get you set up in the bidding system so that you will immediately start receiving notifications of the opportunities that's available for you. We don't recommend you begin bidding yet because you still have work to do. So we kind of give you a blueprint and tell you the things that you need to be working on. And in the interim, while we are working on getting everything set up in the federal system for your company or your entity. And after the workshop is normally 30 to 45 days. Your profile and everything is set up in the federal system, and you can begin bidding. Although it's my opinion that most companies, especially if you don't have a clue, wouldn't be ready at that point either. And so we have a partner organization that has a variety of, after you've done all of the foundational things that we have instructed, they have additional workshops and resources and tools that can kind of walk you through all other things, such as how to price properly, how, again, terminology. What are you looking at when you're opening up a proposal? You none of it is going to do you any good if you don't have an understanding of what you're doing. And so my partner organization, they walk you through all of that, and they really kind of meet you where you are. So if you're one of those people that want to learn along the way, they do that. They've got, workshops and seminars for that, where, they will kind of, they kind of instruct you and you do it yourself, all the way up to the organization or the business that doesn't want to do it and they don't have time, and if they've got the financial resources to turn it over to them, they'll do it all for you. So that's kind of how it goes. But for us, it's the foundational stuff and making sure that you got a really solid understanding, so that when you are able to, when you start bidding, you're bidding with some intelligence and you really know what you're doing.
Okay. Okay, let's say I procure a contract. And let's say we got a start date. I met with the whoever government official. They say, okay, we want you to start on this date. You come in, you get your crew. I'm sure there's more to it than that, but let's say you get your crew, you get everybody. They start working. They want to get paid every Friday. Mm-hmm. What resources are you aware of? Any resources that'll help me cover payroll? Because they like to do net 30s. I know some of them do 60s. So
they sure do. Yeah, the federal government is slow to pay. So that's another thing. And so that, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because people have gotten in trouble about that. Not like legal trouble, but you can ruin your reputation if you're not careful, because you put out there too early, and I mentioned this earlier to you, Sub, about it was a young lady that was in one of the groups that I'm in, contracting groups. And she said that she submitted a bid that she didn't think she was going to win. And she won, and it shocked her. Well, she put in the bid response that she had this piece of equipment that must have been required in order for her to perform the work. And she said, yes, she has it. She won the bid. And so she was in the group saying $70,000 piece of equipment. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Do I let them know I don't have this? Do I receive, And I mean, talk about a ruining of reputation. Well, what ended up happening was she took the information. Obviously, once you win, you can get, there are all kinds of factoring organizations and, financial institutions. A lot of times, even your own bank will fund your particular project, as long as you can show them that you've got this, that you've won this contract. That's almost money in the bank. They'll be willing to wait for you to actually get paid by the government. They'll front you the money because they know it's a shoe-in. Once you win that contract, it's a shoe-in. So there are a variety of resources that you can use to be able to help you sustain until they pay you. Because I will tell you right now, the federal government, they usually don't even pay in 30 days. It's normally 60 to 90, and because they're just slow, but once you get on that rotation, obviously, then you're good, you're on that regular rotation. But to get started, the kickoff, it can be very difficult for small business owners who don't really have the capital to float, their employees. So if you're talking about a mom and pop, organization, janitorial service has got, normally 5 people.
Yes. Let me ask you. So you just stated something really interesting. You said that she came and basically embellished the size of her organization. So
what she did was she said that her organization had a piece of equipment that it really didn't have.
So let me ask you this. So how much of that can be done? How far can you go with that before it messes you up? I mean, I'm not saying that you want to do what she did. I'm just saying, how far can you say, like me, I'm a database developer, been doing it for about 8, 9, 10 years. So if I say, hey man, I'm capable of hiring 28 people, 30 people. Is that far-fetched?
No, I mean, it's not unusual. No, not at all. That's the example I was about to give. So you own a janitorial company, right? And you've got you just a small mom and pop, it's 5 employees. You doing your company, you guys are doing all right with your 5 employees, but you just landed this game-changing contract to clean the federal building. It's 30 stories. and it's a couple of $1 million over, a 2-year period or whatever, right? Game changer. But guess what? You and your 4 other employees cannot clean up that building by yourself. So you've got to now go and you've got to subcontract out the help. And all you're going to do is you're going to connect with a staffing company, and you're going to hire a staffing company who can get you the help that you need in order to fulfill that contract.
Yesterday, that the company that you partner with basically teaches you how to structure your pay scale and as far as every fee, everything, so that you don't burn yourself and you get a $2.5 million contract. You walk out there with $100,000. You drop the ball bad.
That's right. You dropped it real bad. And that's a lot of times what happens, because if you're not intelligent with what you know and don't know, you can go in and be okay. I'm going to be the lowest bidder. But guess what? By the time you deliver on that contract, you didn't make any money, or you made very little. So you got to know what you're doing. And the answer to your question is yes. That's what my partner organization does. My partner organization helps you to understand all of those little innuendos, how to make sure that you account for everything, for every sheet of paper that you're going to need to fulfill that particular project, right? You've got to account for it all. And there's a method to the madness. There are calculations, that you need to consider. There's travel expenses. I mean, people who try to wing it on their own, they end up hurting themselves, because when it's all said and done, they've eaten into their profit because they did not intelligently, submit, their proposal. They didn't give an intelligent quote. And so you just want to be careful. And so because the federal government, they need small businesses. And so if you put out there, that you'll perform the work for a certain amount of money, and they say, okay, we're going to give you, they vetted you out and they accept your proposal, you're going to have to deliver whether you made any money off of that or not. And it's to your benefit to make sure that you write in your profit margin and, your own salary, whether it's mileage, it could be travel expenses, it could be, transportation. It doesn't matter. You've got to write all of that stuff in, everything that is going to require for you to actually fulfill that particular job duty. You need to write it in so that you can get paid for it.
Okay, so I was on a contract for General Dynamics, and General Dynamics was working adjacent to CACI, CACI. Mm-hmm. These are big, mega, like gigantic companies that are international. They work all over the world. General Dynamics is like in every country on the planet. They with some type of contract. Mm-hmm. So they build embassies, they do IT, they do everything for NASA. You name it, they build weapons. They're a big company. So I work for them, and I noticed the way it was set up, right? Like the guys at General Dynamics got the contract, the company did. There were some people that worked for General Dynamics. I guess that was their job. They interviewed me. It's probably the easiest interview I ever had in my life. They didn't ask me one technical question. Mm-hmm. They looked at my resume, talked to me, smiled, and they basically submitted me, told me when can I start. I came in, got the job, but they hired a project manager. This was a brand new, I was working on what they call the AFRIS-R database, which is the Armed Forces, that's hence the word AF, recruiting database, basically. I don't know what AFRIS-R means, but I know AFR, Armed Forces Recruiting. So it was Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, everybody's database, all of their new recruits. Mm-hmm. I was dealing with that database. And the way it was set up, you had to, like, there was a major in the military that would come and sit and meet with the project manager. Like once a month, he would sit down with the project manager, ask what he wanted. And the project manager was literally like, just like basically really lollygagging. He really ain't do a good job. But this contract, I think they just pulled a plug on it, but that was back in 2012. They had that contract for about 7 years. And it was crazy, but I've seen this up front and close because I've been doing IT contracting for years. I've seen a middleman get up. I guess I would say in that scenario, the General Dynamics and CACI were the primes, right? And there was another recruiting company. They sent me through Matrix Resources or something. They brought me in on the interview. So they would pay Matrix. Matrix would pay me every Friday, but they would pay Matrix once a month. And that's how it was, man. That was kind of, so I've seen this, like I've seen all these parts working synergistically. So it's not highly unusual to say, okay, I'm gonna go straight to khaki or straight to General Dynamics and hire the people myself if they put the contract out, or you might just get the government contract. How does it work if I'm getting the government contract as a sub? How would that work? Would I have to go to General Dynamics, or would I still go to the government?
Nope. And let me tell you, and I'm gonna tell you, when you're brand new and you don't know what you're doing in this space while you're learning, that is what we encourage. We encourage teaming and we encourage subcontracting. And so that's one of the things that we talked about in our workshop, but just for a little, I guess I want to call it teaser or whatever. No, you create those opportunities to be able to connect with those corporations by introducing yourself and letting them know that you are, you're willing to partner with them, especially if you are in a particular set aside category, like if you're a woman, or if you are a minority, or if you are a veteran, because these major corporations who win these multi-million-dollar contracts, by law, this is also a part of the SBA law that was passed back in 2011. By law, they must give 5% of their contract to woman-owned, veteran-owned, minority-owned businesses as subcontracting opportunities. And if they do not, they are fined. So that's the easiest way to kind of get in there, right? Is for you to be able to connect with those known primes, and we show you how to do that in our workshop, and introduce yourself and partner with them because they're looking for small business owners.
Okay, so does my LinkedIn profile and my personal resume have any? And what if somebody's a felon? Would that affect it? If they got they got something that happened to them? Do they do background checks on you as an individual if you are the managing partner of a LLC? And by the way, some people want to know, do you need a LLC or C Corp?
Either one. That's an easy answer. Either one, LLC or C Corp. So got that out of the way. As far as the personal, like if you're a felon or whatever, it's your entity, not you. Your entity. So no. Now, if you are going to be a part of a team that requires a background check, for example, I'm sorry, you're in IT, right? So you sometimes may have privy to sensitive information. And so, there may be certain clearances or what have you that if you were on a project, that they would have to make sure that you as an individual working on that project, but not your entity. So unless you are going to be a part of the delivering the work and it's some kind of, or it requires a background check of some sort, the answer is your personal background has nothing to do with your business entity.
Okay. So that's great. So all you people listening, by the way, the link is in the description of the video as well if you're watching back. But like I said, I did this video basically for you guys to really see that there are opportunities out here. And from your past experience, what do you think is hindering Black people from getting into this field? Like is it that they just don't, which I think is just lack of knowledge, but what would you say?
Okay, it's definitely the lack of knowledge first and foremost, right? It's definitely the lack of knowledge. I talk to small business owners every single day, and it's definitely the lack of knowledge. And then for those who are knowledgeable and they still don't, I'm just gonna keep it real, it's laziness. Because I just told you that the young lady who I gave the example of, the single mom, she's the opposite of lazy.
What was that latter point that you just made? What was it?
The latter point when I said lazy, when I said laziness?
That's it. That's it right there. I talk about that on my channel on numerous occasions. I talk about laziness. And if white supremacy and racism and whatever you want to call the apparatus of white power structure, whatever, if they didn't change one bit, but we change, they can't change these laws in a snap of a finger. It's too many opportunities out here. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I mean, don't get me started. Oh, that's a whole nother subject. Because I mean, I'm not gonna, I don't sugarcoat a lot because I see a lot, and I think that we listen. Let me just give you an example. I help with corporate contracting too. I'm gonna just tell you a little story. So when I first started my business, we had to, we of course went after. Obviously, we're certified. We've got, our company has all the certifications that we qualify for. And one of the processes for MBE certification, Minority Business Enterprise certification, was after we got approved, which took forever, but after we finally got approved, I had to go for an orientation with the certifying agency. And now, mind you, it's called an MBE, a Minority Business Enterprise certification. When I walked in, it was me and one other Black person in that room. The rest of the people in that room were minorities, but they were not Black. So, so one of my pet peeves is, people who talk about, the man, we don't get any opportunities and all that stuff. Let me tell you something. People come over to this country, other countries. They learn what's available that we have always had available. This, affirmative action type, set aside programs and things like that. They come over here and they take advantage, and we are the original minority, and they come over here and they take it because they also are minorities. And so they do the research, they do the work, they spend the money, because in order to make money, you gotta spend money, and they win while we sit on the sidelines and complain. So it's number one, not knowing, which is why I love doing these types of interviews or webinars or whatever you want to call them. And number two, after it's laziness and fear too. Let me just not forget fear, because I think a lot of times people can hear, oh my gosh, it sounds like a lot of work. And, I'm up to it. Sometimes they can be driven by fear. And so it's possible that that's the case. But if that's the case, I want people to understand that you're not going to be left alone. I promise. There is, from the foundational stuff that we offer to our partner and all the resources that they offer. I am telling you, if you do the work, you can win. So there are no excuses anymore. You're not going to be left by yourself to figure it out. You're going to have help. So that eliminates, hopefully, the fear factor. And so, what do we have? We've got not knowing and laziness. So there you have it.
Okay, so not knowing, laziness. That's it. All right, now I got class in like 30 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of wrap it up. But they've been asking 50 times, and I've been kind of holding them back. How much does it cost? What I got to spend? Give me a list. Somebody, when people, and let me say this, when people are giving you information, get the information, the free information that they're gonna give you. Get that before you just ask for the price and then jump off the chest, jump off. Because I see people do that. I have somebody on here, I interview them. How much is it? First question. I'm like, you don't even know what it is. Listen, they may give you valuable insight, because people get prices, okay, and then they'll make their decision and jump off and that's not how you do it. You listen, because people have years. She has years of experience in this industry, and what she can do is really enlighten you. And just listening, this is a wealth of knowledge. I've been around this myself, but even I'm learning. And not to say I know everything, but you guys, don't always just go straight for how much is it. Just try to listen and let people. I'm not beating nobody down. I'm just saying in general. Try to listen and let people tell you specifically, like what it is that they can offer. That's why I asked her the question, what can you do? Because if you don't know what she can do, why you don't know what it is? She might just incorporate for you, and you got to do the rest. Then is that even worth it? So and that was what you asked at the beginning. I had to get her capabilities out there first, so that you can know, okay, she offers this service. She has a partner organization that does other services. So we had to get everything laid out first. I'm not trying to make this an infomercial. I'm just doing this because we, as a people, are always left behind. And my thing is this, and I'm gonna let you get into the money in a second. But my thing is this, man. Like, my mom and dad, and I'm born and raised in Montgomery, Alabama. We did the bus boycott. If it wasn't for us, and when I say us, I mean ADOS, black people, American descendants of slaves, no minority would be getting anything in this country because first of all, they wouldn't be here, 90%, most of them. Not only that, they wouldn't be able to enjoy the things they enjoy. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think it's only right that we partake in this stuff. And I think YouTube is a tool. And that's what I'm planning to use it for, as a tool to empower and equip our people to be out here to be able to, look people in the face and say, I can pull that 6 figures. I can pull that 7-10 figure job. I mean, money. I can do that. We can do that. You know what I'm saying? Now I want you to get into how much it is and stuff like that, if you don't mind.
Okay, awesome. It is okay. So for our workshops, it is it's $749 for the rate that includes the 4-hour workshop, and after the workshop, within 30 to 45 days, we deliver your actual, we've actually set you up in the federal system and all of the other things so that you'll be ready to start looking at those opportunities. I'm not going to say ready to bid, because to me, you've still got work to do. But all of that foundational stuff will be done. So $749, which includes the 4-hour workshop. And if you don't have a Dun & Bradstreet number, it includes, getting your Dun & Bradstreet number signed to you. Now that doesn't cost it. Dun & Bradstreet doesn't charge anything to get your Dun & Bradstreet number. But if you need it right away, they drag their foot. And if they know that you need it right away, because it normally takes several months for them to actually issue it to you. But once you tell them that you need it right away, which you will need a Dun & Bradstreet number, then they want to charge you $297. So we include the expedited Dun service without charge. So that's how much it costs. And then if there are any certifications that you want on top of that, which, if you're a woman or if you're a veteran, then there is an additional, fee that could be anywhere from $200 to $400. So, it could be, what is it, $950 for certified woman-owned small business, including the workshop. And if you're a veteran, then it's a little bit more paperwork and work that we've got to do in order to get that done. A little bit of a longer process. So that would be an extra $400.
Okay. So as far as your partners, what would they charge to give me that once I'm done? We've done the seminar. I went through all the steps you told me to do. I'm quote in the system, but I'm not ready. And I want to get that next level of knowledge. What prices are we looking at there?
Great question. So it's funny. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because we're rolling out our partnership announcement on the 25th. We're going to be doing a free 1.5-hour webinar with our partner organization. And they are working on, it's a dual boot camp. And I wish I had more details, but I will tell you this. It is for the next step, which includes 2 major boot camps. It's going to be less than $600.
Okay.
So that's a major piece of the puzzle in terms of next step. So for those people who are listening, and if you're interested potentially in us taking care of the foundational stuff, getting you registered or certified, whatever the case may be, whatever applies to you, you might want to go on and get in on our next workshop, which is going to be in April at some point. I know, Bill, and you're working on maybe setting aside like a dedicated date or whatever, just for the people that you have kind of connected us with. And then after that, I think that next step would become available, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, towards the end of May or June. But so the timing could be, perfect, because that'll give you've got to have time in order to get the foundational stuff done. We've got to have time to get the foundational stuff done. But if you don't want to lose any momentum, I know that next step is going to be coming up at some point this summer.
Okay, so I'm trying to be ready by the 25th, at least halfway ready, at least understanding and stuff like that. As far as your next seminar, if it's in person, if it's on the internet, however we'll do it. I got class in like 20 minutes. I'm gonna go play with my son for a minute. Do you have any other thing that you want to add to the discussion?
I don't. I just, want to first, I appreciate you, Sub, for what you're doing and for helping to spread the word. I mean, it really is my heart to be able to empower, particularly underserved. And one of the things that I say is the underserved business owner, right? Because there's so many entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, mom and pop type, setup that is out there in the trenches working really, really hard. They're literally running their business. And my heart really is to help them to be able to level up so they're not working so freaking hard. And to really be able to realize the American dream and to really grow, because I see our non-African American counterparts doing it, and they do it very well. And I want that to be for the underserved population, whether it be for women. Obviously, I'm a woman entrepreneur, so that's kind of near and dear to my heart. My very first reduced cost workshop was only for women because I recognize that women have a particular disadvantage. But really, it's for any underserved community, business in the small business space. And so I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share this information because, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. So thanks for the opportunity.
Okay. Well, this concludes our broadcast. I want to thank everybody for coming on board. Thanks for the likes. Let me look at the comment section one more good time. How many employees do you need for a prime to come to you?
It depends. It depends on what it is, right? It depends on what service you are providing. It really is less about it's per per proposal, or per opportunity that you're bidding on. So every opportunity looks different. You may be able to subcontract out, and it could be 2 employees that's needed to do your portion of the contract. Whereas, another contract that you compete for that you're also going to be subcontracting for may be more robust, may require more, and you may need 15. So it really is going to depend on what it is that you are answering and what part of the contract you are looking to sub.
Okay. All right. So that's it, guys. I'm done. Class starts in 20 minutes. I already got to go to meeting up. So that'll be it. I want to say thank you. I'll be reaching out to you probably tomorrow afternoon or whatnot when I get off. I already, signed up, paid my money, so I'm ready to go. So,
Awesome.
And if any of you guys want to come through me, if you guys want to come through me, the 750 is. You go to the website, it's gonna say $7.99. So if you want to get that $50 off, then come holler at me. You know what I'm saying? And we can all of us can do a group thing. She was talking about doing a thing for us all together. So if you guys want to do that, then by all means come sign up that way. And I got my students. She talked about 60 students, 60, 70 students last night. A lot of them saying they're gonna sign up. I already signed up last night or this morning. So if y'all down, let's do it, man. Let's all come in here together. Let's do it. But I'm gonna do it. I gotta take a long-term approach, and I can't do everything. The reason I chose this idea was because, and what you guys want to understand is, if you can get into a government contracting business or contract that is in your same lane as far as the same business that you do every day, 40 hours a week, see what I'm saying? I do Monday through Friday, so it's only right that I do this because I do it anyway.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to do real estate, that's something I'm gonna have to do on my kitchen table. This is something that you're gonna probably still have to do on your kitchen table, but at least it's in that same vein. So you already have certain resources and things at your job or at your own business that are at your disposal that will actually kind of put you in a good space with this. So this is perfect for somebody that got their own lawn service, somebody that's cleaning cars, car wash, whatever. And if you want to start, it's perfect as well. So.
Yep. Sounds great. I'm excited. We're excited. Yeah.
Say it again.
No, I'm just saying I'm excited, and I hope that that now that we kind of shed the light on it, that people take the necessary steps in order to make it happen. So we'll see how it turns out.
Okay, so I will see you. I will hit you up tomorrow. Thank you, and I will see all the subscribers later. See y'all.